Hey Stoners, welcome to another edition of Sticks and Stones. I'm your host Brent Elrod, back in the cozy confines of the patio at the No Shoes Bar and Grill, deep in the heart of the Republic of Texas. Got a great show for you today. I'm going to be pairing a Camacho Nicaraguan Toro that is 6x60 on the ring gauge with Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. I think this is going to be a good matchup. Now the Nicaraguan orange label is made of a blend of tobaccos from Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, and Honduras. That's all cinched up in a Honduran binder and then cloaked with an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. Now the wrapper has got a slightly oily satin sheen, and there is a little bit of veining on this stick, and it has then a very large cap on the end, which I like. You know, I'm all about the caps on cigars. The Jack Daniel's single barrel rye is one of my favorites. I like rye. Rye is making a comeback. By law, the mash bill must be at least 51% rye. The mash bill on this Jack Daniel's single barrel is 70% rye, 18% corn, and 12% malted barley, and is a 94 proof. So it does have a little bit more kick maybe than some of the bourbons you might be used to, but the rye is definitely a favorite of mine and is very delicious. So let's pull the cork, light the fire, and see how these two pair up. Now the nose on the Camacho, there's oak, little earth. There is a slight sweetness to it, and definitely some leather. That's got a very good bouquet to it. Let's give it a cut, give it a couple of cold draws. Now on the cold draw, I'm getting a little bit of dark chocolate, maybe just a hint of black pepper, some cashews, and I'm actually getting a pretty good hint of raisin, especially as I'm drawing it towards the back of my tongue. That's got a pretty good nose and a pretty good draw to it. So let's test the rye out here. Now you will notice this is a little more reddish amber than what you would typically get from a bourbon, and is really sort of similar to what we saw with Maker's Mark a couple of weeks ago. And as you may remember, Maker's Mark does put some red rye in their bill, so it does kind of mimic this single barrel rye, but that is a very beautiful reddish color. Now on the nose, I'm getting cherry, maybe a hint of banana. I love bananas. There is oak, and there's some spice. It's got a good blend to it on the nose. It's got a very buttery mouthfeel to it. And it actually does begin with banana, which I did mention in the nose. So it's kind of a really good combination there. It carries over from the palate, from the nose to the palate. Yeah, it begins with banana, but then as you're swallowing and it's moving farther back on your tongue, you get some cherries and some chocolate. And then I also catch a kind of a maybe a taste of plantain, definitely some oak, and some rye. Jack Daniel's rye is very good. Now let me cleanse my palate. Don't tread on me. And let's see how these two go together. Be sure to be watching for my midweek short take. This week's short take is going to be on a primer for Scotch. Those do go very well together. I'm picking up a little bit of leather, maybe some white pepper. If you remember, there was a little black pepper on the cold draw. And that is really pairing well with the caramel, the cherries, and the plantains of the rye. I'm definitely getting a little pepper towards the back of my mouth when I draw. Those do blend well together. I am still holding on to the Padron and the Glenlivet 14 year as being my best pairing so far, but this is a good one. Tell you what, I'm going to burn this one about a third, and then we'll come back and I'll give you an update. Hey Stoners, welcome back. I'm about a third of the way through. It's kind of hard to tell because one thing I have noticed is I don't know if it's picking it up on the camera very well, but the burn is a little uneven. I've already straightened it up a couple of times, but it keeps burning faster at the top than it does the bottom. And I have it cut with a V-cutter across, so it's not the cut, it's the actual burn. But a lot of good smoke, a nice white, lightish gray ash, and I'm still getting the leather and the white pepper. This one's pepper all the way through. I think it's going well with the Jack Daniel's single barrel rye because the flavor bill on the Jack, as I mentioned, is bananas and cherry, a little bit of spice, and so you're kind of mixing those two with the spice of the cigar from the pepper and the cherries and banana, the sweetness of the rye. It goes well together. One thing I did want to mention about this particular bottle of rye is it was bottled in 2018, and it's a non-age statement, but they age the single barrel rye about 4 years before bottling, and It's delicious. I haven't smoked a Camacho probably since I left Baghdad in 2004. And this is a good cigar. I think these do go pretty well together. I'm going to keep working on it, and I'll come back and give you an update somewhere between halfway and 2/3 of the way through. Hey Stoners, I'm back a little early. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to get up. But I wanted to show you the unevenness with which that is burning. Which is not something I've encountered since I've been doing these videos. That is probably the most uneven burn I have encountered in a cigar. I decided just to kind of let it go for a while and see what it was going to do. But we are almost halfway through, and the ash still hasn't dropped. So it is a very well constructed cigar. I'm going to burn it just a little farther, and then we will come back and give you the final thoughts. Hey Stoners, I'm back. I believe I have solved the mystery of the uneven burn. I don't know if the camera picks that up very well, but you can see the point sticking out. That is the roll of the filler, where they've rolled them together. And it is a little off center. To when I cut it, it was on the underside of being centered. So the top has burned faster than the bottom. It's just one of those things you get into with hand-rolled cigars. It happens every now and again. But it's performed beautifully. It got nearly halfway before it dropped ash. Fortunately, it's not on camera because I burned the shit out of my leg. I know y'all will have loved that, but, you know, I nearly fell over in the chair. Now that we're at this point, I can say that the leather and the pepper and the chocolate has kind of given way to vanilla, dried fruit, and maybe even a little cinnamon. So it has paired very well in the midsection of this cigar with this rye. Very well. Now the rye, this Jack Daniel's is not complex. It's very straightforward, but it's very refreshing. I think you'll really like the rye, and I know you'd like the cigar. I'm going to go ahead and burn a little more on it. I'll come back, wrap it up, give you my final thoughts on this pair. Hey Stoners, I'm back. About to wrap this one up. My final thoughts are this is a very satisfying pairing. It's not overwhelming. It definitely doesn't come close to the top spot for last week's Glenlivet 14-year cognac cask and Padron 50th anniversary. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but the Padron was about $26 for a stick, and the Glenlivet will run you about $50 or $55 for a fifth. These are definitely good. I would give the single barrel rye 4.5 stones. I'd give the cigar about a 4.0 sticks. Definitely a good matchup, and I don't think you can go wrong with them. Be sure to watch my midweek short take. As I mentioned, it is going to be a Scotch primer for those that'd like to know a little bit more about Scotch. And then next weekend, I will have another great pairing for you. Till then, keep your sticks dry, your stones cold, and I will see you next week. Bye.